Red light, that means I'm doing good.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
You're always hot.
Well, you're the engineer, so you need to maybe less hot.
That's not possible. Oh, wait. Rules of the game, Nigel.
What are the rules?
You got to give him the rules.
So the rules are, if you need to, it's not a family show except for his son. So
He's just going to ask me what a shit ton means.
yeah, use your language you use, with your whoever. If you need to burp, please do it into the microphone.
Lean in.
Okay.
And,
We embrace all burps.
Well, the other rules, we have beer. So we already have beer. Was that one of the rules?
Yeah, you got to have a drinker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And other than that, no, just don't die and don't be a dick.
Yep.
I can agree to those
That's
rules.
rule number one. Yeah, there you go. Are we rolling?
We're rolling. We're always rolling.
Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, promotional products and design. They cover your brand bumper to bumper with graphic design, promo products, and print. See what Dire Oil Graphics can build for you at direoil.com. That's DYEROIL.com.
Welcome to Beers with Nigel. I'm Nigel.
I'm that other guy.
And guess where we are? Nick, where are we?
We're at Lost Evenings Brewing Company. Is this Johnson County?
This is Johnson County, Lenexa, Kansas,
It's
to be
Lenexa.
exact.
I get my Kansas confused.
So you get to introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, I'm Pat Davis, the owner and brewer behind Lost Evenings Brewing Company.
Stick that mic up, kind of eat it.
Yep.
Or Nick will scold you if you don't.
I might.
Especially since we're not on headphones. Anyway, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And happy birthday. You told us right before
It's
we
your
went
birthday
on
too?
that you
It's
guys
my birthday
just had
yesterday.
your
Yeah.
birthday too.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. I was saying happy birthday to the brewery.
Oh.
You just had your year anniversary.
Oh, that's right. It has been a year.
So we
hasn't
can
it?
celebrate both.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that means he's going to have to chug a beer at the end.
Yeah, double the drinks.
That's the new thing apparently.
That's
The
our
last-
second new thing we've
The last
added.
episode, we've got 2 new games. I don't know how that even happened last episode. Shout out to
Well,
Woody and those guys.
A lot of things happened last episode.
Yeah. So tell us about you and how you got into brewing, and let's start with this. What was your first craft beer that you remember craft? Because everybody was drinking something before craft, and then you discovered something that you were like, oh shit.
Sure.
What was that?
I'd have to say Boulevard's 80 Acre
Fair.
Okay.
because, in college I liked what I could afford. So
You like cheap.
Keystone Light, of course.
Yes, Keystone Light, baby.
That was my college beer of choice.
Once I graduated, I was like, I'm fancy. I can afford Boulevard Wheat.
That is actually fancy.
And then, tried 80 Acre and loved it. Loved the hop character, and that kind of opened my eyes to trying other things. The first time I'd ever tried an IPA in college, I hated it. Thought that I don't like IPAs, but then taking that step towards like 80 Acre or Hoppy Wheat, I don't know,
Nice.
opened my eyes to trying other new things.
I feel like 80 Acre was probably the first time I noticed hops.
Did they notice you?
No. I was in a corner. I was afraid to ask the girl out. As far as beer goes, that was like my 7th grade dance.
Yeah. So this is the second episode. We keep doing this wrong. We're supposed to tell Junior we have one of our
Here's what we're drinking.
famous. He's famous. One of our famous listeners. We actually had him on the show. He always wants to know what the beers, what we're drinking.
And we didn't always do that, and then he got mad.
So Pat, what are you drinking, bud?
I'm drinking our Westchester Wheat. It's an American wheat ale. It's brewed with it's a hop combination that gives it kind of a lemony character, and then I also add lemon zest to it to
Very
kind of
nice.
punch that up.
Very nice.
Now I'm drinking your stout. What's the name of it? It's the this Christmas in something. I can't even read
So
that.
it's Making Christmas.
Yeah.
We're re-releasing it as kind of a Christmas in July thing. So it's a gingerbread imperial stout.
It's very delicious.
Thank you.
Nice.
And Nick, what?
I'm calling this the Seinfeld of the beers. This is pineapple of the Caribbean. It's the wheat, but with Malibu poured in it.
Yep, with pineapple Malibu.
I didn't
How is
really
that?
read the sign. I thought maybe
Is
it
it
was
good?
like barrel aged.
Is it good?
No, it's fantastic.
Let me get a little sip of that. We don't normally share beers on the show. That's a lie. We do.
We always share beers. But look, if you take a really good beer and
my
you add
God.
rum,
Oh
it's
my
even
God.
better.
That's a great idea. I'd never thought.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
So basically, we have 8 taps currently, and one of the things I thought is like we need more offerings. Like 8 beers is fine, but we'd like to have more options available. And so one of the things we saw other breweries doing is beer cocktails, and so we looked at like, what are kind of core beers that we make? What could we mix up? And I'd always wanted to make a beer called Pineapples of the Caribbean. So
You always have wanted to do that.
always.
That was in the notebook.
The problem is I come up with a beer name, and I'm like, how can I make that name work? The name is the first thing.
Yeah.
The beer comes later.
So is that what happens at the brewery? You come up with a name first, and then you make a beer.
A lot of times.
Really?
The name makes
Yeah.
the recipe?
Yeah.
That stout is really good.
Yeah,
and you're right. It does. Like I drink that, I'm gonna have to remind myself. Oh yeah, it's almost 90 degrees outside.
But you know what? It's always stout
It's always
season.
stout season.
I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't care who. If you're out there and you don't think you should drink a stout in the summer,
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Wouldn't you agree, Pat?
I would agree with
This
that.
is hello.
You can be on a boat in the middle of the water. It's still stout season. It's still stout. So you just had year anniversary,
Yep.
and you opened mid-pandemic, and I feel like we've heard this story a
Yeah.
few times. Now you were telling me though that you actually started after they started letting customers back
Yeah.
in, which probably helped a little.
Yeah. It certainly would have been worse, I think, if we had opened a couple months prior. But basically, we signed our lease December 2019, and it said we had to be open by June. So that was, of course, before anybody knew that COVID was going to be a thing. But even then, like we got to March or so and things started shutting down, and we thought, well, they're going to shut down for a month or so, and the world will open back up.
Little did we know.
It'll be perfect timing. Everybody will need a beer after being quarantined for a month.
Right.
And then a year later.
Well, I think you got one part of that right. Everybody needed a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing that we all did collectively was we drank a lot.
Yes.
So you the 80 acre that got you into craft beer.
Mm-hmm.
At what point I'm guessing you probably started as a home brewer,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's always an interesting question to ask people. At what point did you go from thinking, oh, my first beer sucked, but I'm to the point now where I think other people will buy my beer?
I think the way that happened was I started brewing at home and just kind of instantly fell in love with it. I think my first beer was amazing, but honestly, if I were to taste it today, I don't know if I would agree with that sentiment. But
What was the first beer?
it was a Bavarian wheat kit from Midwest Homebrew Supplies.
It's always the kit.
It was,
and
it was a kit.
the kit gets everybody. That's how it all starts.
The gateway.
So obviously you were, how long did you homebrew for?
About 8 years.
Okay, so you had some what do you
Little
call
time
it?
in.
Yes, you put some time in. So at what point during that 8 years did you think, I think I want to open a brewery?
I think the way it happened is, so I got involved in the local home brewing club, the Johnson County Brewing Society.
Good brewers in that club, by the way.
Absolutely. So that put me in touch with other people who then went on to open breweries. But it also let me kind of open my eyes to this whole world of home brewing and beer fests and stuff. And so I started serving my beer at beer fest to the general public, and kind of loved that interaction, loved seeing people enjoy my beer. And that's, I think, what gave me the push that I want to do this someday.
I mean, that's a very simplified version.
I feel like it probably wasn't that simple.
So you think about, I'm going to open this brewery, and then I know there's a bunch of hoops you got to jump through.
Sure.
Was there any? You just decided I'm going to do it, and then whatever happens, happens. I
Well,
mean, what were you thinking when you were doing that?
Okay, so I guess at that point I decided I want to do this someday. And
gotcha.
it was kind of always an off in the distance type thing. Like maybe I'll do this when I retire or whatever. But then, I don't know, just over time I just got more and more obsessed with brewing beer, more obsessed with the idea of opening a brewery. And my wife and I started, kind of saving and working towards this, started kind of looking at spaces out there, commercial spaces out there, just seeing, daydreaming about like, what if we make this happen? And I don't know, things just kind of the timing seemed right. We found this space that we're in right now that seemed like it'd be perfect. There was a period there over the winter of 2019 where I was working at Transport Brewing Company in their brew house. They knew I was interested in opening a brewery. They needed help in their brew house, so that gave me some extra behind-the-scenes view of how to run a brew house. And just one thing led to another, and
and here you are a year
Here we
later.
Was it process that kind of hooked you, like the process of making the beer that you really like, or was it you went to some festivals and you saw people reacting, and that I feel like you're more of a process brain
Sure.
guy.
So my day job is engineering, and so I spend a lot of time staring at a computer screen. And so I loved in brewing beer, it's science, but it's also art.
Right.
So you're taking all these raw ingredients, and there's an infinite number of ways you could combine them to create something that you've never had before, to try and make something that kind of meets your specific tastes. And so I really like that. It was kind of a creative outlet from my day job.
Right. I think there's no dumb brewers out there.
No.
All my brewers are like engineers, architects. I'm like, really? That's why I'm not a brewer, Nick.
I make nuclear bombs on the side.
Right. Speaking of bombs, how about
a little mystery
beer?
action.
Uh-oh.
I'm turning the tables. I brought him again.
Yeah, he brought mystery beers again from Colorado. And of course, there's dim light in here. So who would like to read this? Rachel?
This is courtesy listener Kent again.
Does he actually listen to the show?
Yeah. I'm going to pretend he does. I pretend that, there's people other than my son and my wife who listen.
Well, Junior listens.
Junior listens.
So
Actually, I only said my wife because she's here, but I don't think she listens.
Hey, let's shout out to Dire Oil Graphics. They're actually in person on this show. Shout out to Rachel and Ronnie. Ronnie's texting me right now. I can see it.
He's like, you guys didn't mention Dire Oil Graphics yet. Come on.
Would you like to hand her the mic?
I'm going to hand her the
What
mic.
that beer,
Tell
yeah.
us what we got, Rachel.
It's called Rising Voices, and is this making noise or what's it called? Oh, Woods Boss Brewing Company.
Before you go any further,
I don't have my
don't
glasses
say
on.
don't tell us ABV. We're going to guess the ABV. That's our new game.
That's our new game.
We're going to guess the ABV.
I'm going to be very bad at this game.
We're terrible.
you hold
at it? That's the beauty of it. Or should we taste it
Well,
first?
maybe I'll go pro.
Maybe we should taste it first before we guess the ABV. How about that? I mean, that was dumb. Let's just guess the ABV based on the title. I mean, you make up beers based on the title.
Yeah.
So generally, we have these mystery beers. They normally come in a brown paper bag. So we're sorry you didn't get to appreciate that part of it. It smells great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
gonna give Rachel a little assignment here while she looks also at the ABV. But I heard there's a great story about proceeds from this beer,
Okay.
and where proceeds go. So I'll have her look at the can on that too. We'll take a little sip.
going to say that's 6.5%. 6.5%.
I'm gonna go
You're
lower.
into this, I
I'm
can
gonna go
already
lower.
tell.
We're at 4.5.
4.5. You're going to go 4.5. Pat, what you got, bud?
I think I'm going to go 6.
You hear that?
It is 7.2 ABV.
Oh, we're all low.
Oh,
that's smooth.
Nigel with the closest retail ABV.
What
going over.
do I win? I get to drink the beer.
I do like that.
That's really smooth.
Yeah. That is very easy drinking.
What was the brewery again?
Woods Boss Brewing.
Oh, I've been there. It's in Denver. Beautiful brewery. I took some. I wouldn't say they were prom pictures. They were more like senior pictures.
Making noise.
They've got these giant
rising voices.
Woods Boss, as you might imagine. Everything here is kind of woods motif, and so some of their tables are what do you call them? Well, tree trunks.
Okay.
Wood, yeah, wood.
Breaking news: Brewery has tables made from wood.
Yes, yeah, it's a great
Okay.
brewery. I'm
It's a
not
hazy
surprised.
IPA brewed with pink peppercorns,
Wow,
Okay.
Calista Citra, and Centennial hops.
that's a nice beer.
Did you see where Does it say anything about proceeds?
Well,
we'll
while
come
she's
back
looking
to
at
that.
Pat. So, you found this space. Tell us where it is. Give us the address so people know.
Sure. It's 8625 Hauser Court in Lenexa, Kansas. That's Hauser, Hauser.
So, when you found the spot, did you have in your mind what you wanted it to look like?
Actually, when I found this spot, I was anticipating having a brewery half the size of this.
Is that right?
But I walked in, and it looked like the perfect setup. Kind of an interesting point about it. We've got a sushi restaurant right next door,
Yep.
and it was at one point going to be an expansion to that sushi restaurant. They were going to do like a hibachi grill, private dining room type thing over here. At one point, 5 or 6 years ago, the sushi restaurant changed hands. The new ownership group didn't want to do that expansion, and so it sat vacant for the last 5 or 6 years. And until I came to see it and thought that would be perfect for a brewery. I loved the layout. There really wasn't a ton we had to do to the layout other than kind of we added some windows around the brew house so people could see in, see the
Right.
brewing process, see the tanks. And then, of course, like adding the bar and finishing the bathrooms and that kind of stuff. So it was nice because there wasn't a ton we had to do to the space. But it was about twice as big as our original plans. We thought, like, this would be perfect because one of the things I wanted to do was live music, which we've got starting here in a bit tonight. And so we thought the larger space, let's go for it. Get lots of people in
You got
here.
plenty of room. It worked perfect when I came in here when you guys first opened, and it was still COVID going on.
Mm-hmm.
You could totally social distance in here, so it worked out. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, how big's your brew system?
My brew system's 3.5 barrels, so we can do batches of about 110, 115 gallons.
But it seems like you got some space in there if you wanted to upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can actually get bigger.
Yeah, so we've got plenty of room in the brew house to add another 4 fermenters. Currently, we've got 4 3.5 barrel unit tanks, and we've got room to easily add another 4. Got plenty of room back there. Our glycol system's already sized for that.
Yeah.
For that expansion, so
I feel like this is a good thing for you because how many new breweries have we interviewed and they're like, I'm 2 months in and I already need bigger space because I don't have enough room for a bigger system.
I'm looking at you, Tony, at Windshift,
or Iron Kettle out in Grain Valley.
Oh shit! Even as much as Diametric has gotten bigger, they don't have a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've been in a brew house, but it's tight. It's super tight. So
they are maximizing all space.
Good on you for having space to grow, because that seems to be the issue with a lot of people who go in and they're like, well, 3 months in, I need a bigger space to brew, because we all know people in Kansas City, love their craft beer.
yeah, they like to drink beer.
Other than the COVID stories that we're all tired of telling, what are some of the other things though that kind of you hit and you learned on in this first year? Oh, or is it really just
Is there a list?
or is it really just we survived COVID and that's all that matters?
That's been the big story of the last year, is surviving COVID, coming out on the other side, and ready to brew more and more beer. Basically, since the beginning of the year, things have been picking up. People are coming out. People are vaccinated. They're more comfortable with coming out, and so things have been steadily picking up. And it's the story now is just kind of keeping up with that growth and keeping up with the new normal of life.
So you mentioned your wife, and you guys have talked about opening a brewery. And it sounds like she was on board with it. What was she thinking through the pandemic as you opened the business? I mean, apparently she's still around.
Does she still talk to you?
You have a ring on, so she's still around.
Yep. She still supports it. She's definitely our number one supporter, and she supported the whole thing all the way. She's keeps me going through the whole thing, and
does she drink your beer?
She does.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a win right there.
And that, really, that's part of the inspiration behind some of our beers. she really loves English beers. So we were kind of going for an English pub type feel,
Nice.
and some of our beers
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, some of our
Bloody
beers
hell.
are typically, we try to focus on like American and English kind of sessionable styles.
Right,
So browns, milds, stouts. That's the kind of stuff she loves, so we do brew a lot of that.
That's very nice. I'm down with the English. I did see. It's got the Big Ben over there. You know.
There you
what I'm
go.
saying?
Are
Little
you
British.
feeling? Is it to make you feel at home?
It does. I'm British, by the way. If you didn't know that,
I did.
Born and raised. So I'm still
Born and raised till he was 10.
12.
12. Oh, sorry.
But I'm not a citizen of this country. Don't want to be.
Wow.
I said it. Okay.
Bold- bold statement, Cotton.
I said it out loud. So, you guys moved into the shopping center. What's the reception been like from the neighborhood? Because what I've learned is wherever you put a brewery, that you automatically get regulars. And I'm sure you have some regulars. What's been the reception as you guys have been here for a year?
We definitely have some regulars, and that's something I think that's been one of the most kind of uplifting things for me is seeing people that love our beer enough to come back again and again and again. One of the hard things about it though has been we're kind of tucked back in this in the shopping center. We're off of 87th Street, but you can't see us from 87th Street. We're kind of tucked back behind Starbucks in the shopping center. So we have people every single week coming in being like, I live a block away and I had no idea you were here. I will be back.
Yeah.
So that's been the kind of tough thing. But I think it's overall, over time, it's going to be a good thing
Yeah.
for us.
And I think it's cool you guys are part of that, the Johnson County beer, brewery explosion.
the beer
which is-
trail.
Yeah, don't they call it Johnson County Beer Trail or some shit like that?
The Ale Trail?
Ale
Ale Trail. I got it wrong. I got it wrong. The Ale Trail.
That needs to be a shirt. You need to
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
put that on the shirt,
As we've talked to some others that opened during the pandemic, we've gotten a few stories about surprising regulars that when they first opened, there'd be people who were just in the neighborhoods who were just looking for a place that they could get out of the house and go have 2 or 3 beers. Did you get some of that?
I think one of the most surprising things maybe has been there's a hair salon a couple doors down. And so we've gotten people that are like, I was getting my hair done, and I saw bar stools, and down the sidewalk, and thought,
like a beacon,
what's
bar
this
stools.
all about?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's kind of been the surprising thing.
And I think every brewery would tell you some story like that where it's like people are like, well, how long have you been here? A year or 2 years or 3 years. They're like, what? Because I work at Diametric, I work at Windshift, I work at Grains and Taps, and inevitably somebody comes by and has never been there. It just tells you the beer community really hasn't scratched the surface on consumers. So,
And still breaking into their neighborhoods.
absolutely. And you're in a great position because I think the future, and we've talked about this on this show plenty, I think the future of breweries is that local tap room. Oh, that's my neighborhood tap room. Yeah, I'll go visit whatever, you know what I'm saying? But Grains and Taps, that's kind of my home base because it's next to my house.
Sure.
That's beside the point. But
But when he says next to his house,
yeah, I literally mean
8
it.
steps.
8 steps.
Well, you got to do long steps to do it. That's the
Nigel
thing.
steps.
Yes.
I've got short legs, so more like 10 steps.
Give you like
or
12.
Yeah.
So is there particular things that you talked about what kind of styles you guys are doing? Is there something personally that you really like to brew or drink?
My favorite beers have always been sessionable beers. My favorite one on tap right now is the Lightwork Cream Ale. It's just a easy drinking, kind of light beer. It's one that it's low enough in ABV that you can have several over the course of
Right.
an afternoon while you're sitting by the pool or whatever. But
We got the thumbs up over there, so from the peanut gallery.
What was it? We had was it Tanner from Pathlight? He says, "I want to drink a lot, so I want the lower ABVs."
Exactly.
We need to get you, Tanner, and Nolan from
Nolan from
Transparent to do a easy drinking collab.
A session collab.
I think that would be amazing.
Well, and you're working back in the brew house, and it's like 20 degrees hotter than it is in the tap room.
Yeah.
Cold, easy drinking beer sounds great.
Yeah.
What is the what's the most popular one here so far?
I think IPAs always sell super well. So currently, right now, we've got our Crazy Bird New England IPA, which originally was a collaboration with Sandhills Brewing Company.
Love Sandhills, by the way.
Other than that, our English Mild down the pub just tapped its last keg that we had. That has been a surprising one that I didn't know if people were really going to go for. But we've brewed it several times now. Every time we brew it, it sells.
There's not a lot of English miles around in town. Tony does one at Windshift, and it's very popular.
Is it? Do you ever have any, like, I don't know, trepidation's not the right word, but when you brew with the title first, you said that. But when you're like, I'm gonna make this one up, I wonder how it's gonna sell. I mean, do you ever like second guess yourself there? A little balk?
Yeah. Every time I make something new, I'm always worried how it's gonna sell. Because it used to be as a home brewer, I'll brew it, and if it's bad, I won't take it to a festival. I'll keep it at home and drink it in shame.
Yeah. That's a beer name. Drink it in shame.
My therapist says we're not supposed to do that.
But yeah, here there is a bit more like this has to sell, so
Yeah.
maybe not go too crazy on.
We should probably do another mystery beer.
Okay.
'Cause my man over there, I know he wants to start his show, so we're not going to encroach. We'll drink another mystery beer. We'll wrap it up.
Are you ready for this?
It's 6 o'clock. What do we got?
7-layer Magic Bar Stout plus Milk Stout from WeldWorks Brewing.
I know that logo. Let's do that. So as we wrap this up, because we know there's a live show coming up, tell people where they can find you and your brewery on the interwebs, social medias.
We are on Facebook and Instagram. We don't really do anything on Twitter.
Bro, you got this is the thing. Beer Twitter is great. If you can get somebody to do your Twitter, I'm telling you, the beer Twitter is way better than Facebook. I'm just saying. But anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Do you even have a face? Do you have a Twitter?
We have Facebook, Twitter. You can find us
on Instagrams.
Yep. Facebook, Facebook and Instagram. You can find us on the internet at losteveningsbrewingcompany.com. We do trivia every Wednesday night starting at 6.
Oh, nice.
We do live music every Friday and some Saturdays. And yeah, we've been here just over a year, and we're excited to keep bringing out new beers and stuff. So
I know there's going to be a video available that'll tell this out, but I got to know where Lost Evenings came from.
Oh, it's a great story.
Sure. So I like a lot of different kinds of music, but one of my favorite artists has been Frank Turner. He's kind of a English punk folk singer-songwriter. And in one of his songs, he's got a line that says, "Life is about love, last minutes, and lost evenings." And at the time, I was looking for a name for the brewery, and it was one of those light bulb moments. I was like, that would be perfect.
I love that. I love that.
I've heard a lot of brewery name stories. I
feel like somehow somebody creative needs to make that story into some kind of poster or something.
Yeah, something.
Somewhere. All right, now I want you guys to take a drink of this. We're going to play our game.
It's delicious.
Guess the ABV. That is a tasty beer.
I'm going to undersell it. I'm going to say 10%.
8.5.
What do you say?
The actual
retail ABV?
8.0.
Oh, look at you.
Both went over.
I see you. But he was close, though.
He was closer.
I don't know why I thought that was going to be boozy. I felt like it was hiding something from me.
It didn't.
Very
taste
chocolatey.
That's a dessert beer.
Feel free to pass that around. Oh, you did? That's delicious. So you're halfway through 2020. I was going to say 2022. It's 2021.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, man.
So now things are kind of opening back up. You guys have some goals, or where you want to go, what you want to brew, what you want to do.
Yeah. So 2020 and the pandemic kind of slowed down our start. We were kind of worried opening up about having like a big grand opening, party and everything, because we didn't want to fill up our space and have be the next face on the news of look at these people that
Like you're
infected
down at the Ozarks and shit,
infected
right?
Johnson County. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're supposed to talk about the Ozarks right now. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
So, kind of getting to where we expected to be upon opening up. It's kind of like we had a slow first year, but we're excited to world get back to normal and
Right.
get to where we expected. We are starting to, in the next month or so, distribute some kegs around town.
Nice.
So
fantastic.
hopefully you'll start seeing us around on the Kansas side,
Okay.
in restaurants and bars and stuff. We're probably going to start out with our English mild, the down the pub that we talked about earlier, because that's not a style that a lot of other people do, and it's one that we're very proud of.
That's a good way.
That was a Midland.
It was
Midland,
yeah.
5'7".
I didn't mean to burp on your story, but I couldn't let. But no, English Mile is a great way. I had a guy today at Wind Shift. He'd never been in there because he didn't know it was there, right? It's one of those deals.
Sure.
Only been there 2 years.
Yeah.
It's fine. And he came in and you know what he said? He likes English beers. So I stuck him on a lager at first. And then we had that English Mile. And I was like, because he's like, I like English, but not dark. Okay, that's fine. He had the lager, liked it. I said, have a little taste of that dark mild. He was like, I want that next. I'm like, winner. So it's one of those beers that, even though it's dark, some people get scared. You know what I'm saying? But it's easy drinking.
I want to ask Patrick this because I know you've told this story before that you like this kind of thing, but when you get somebody coming in like that, Nigel loves to just take over and drive at that point. Like they don't know what they want. I mean, do you get the same thing when you're behind the bar and you're telling people about the beer where it's just like, okay, let me show you the round.
The thing I love is the people that come in and say, what's the lightest beer you have?
Yes.
Like they come in with a group or they come in on a special event or something. And
Can we put that on a T-shirt?
what's
the lightest beer?
What's the lightest beer you have?
What's
and
the closest thing to a bud?
Yeah.
usually I'll pour them a couple samples like our light work cream ale. That's definitely our lightest one. But then also something that they wouldn't expect like our English mild or even when we've got our sweet stout on, something like that. Because it's not something that they would expect, but usually it's something that they end up liking because it's still fairly light.
And that's the beauty of craft beer. It's like, you
can hit that spectrum in one place.
As Woody and Kemet were saying on the last episode, it's all about community. It's really beer is just like it's like the bridge between whatever, right?
Right.
I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care any of that. Can we sit down and enjoy beer together?
Yes. The answer is always
yes. It's always yes.
Hey, can you give us a hint? What the kind of your next fun thing you're working on with beer? Or like your next brew? Give people a little surprise. I like breaking news on this podcast. It makes me happy.
I thought the fact that we were going to start distributing was breaking news.
Boom! Don't leave me hanging.
I'll take that hit.
Yeah, we'll
I'll take that.
We got our breaking news next.
No,
Simmer down.
but I'm planning to brew another imperial stout here soon, called Marble Cake, and it's going to be chocolate and vanilla deliciousness.
Yeah, you had me at chocolate, vanilla, and stout and cake.
I'm gonna be making the trek across the border again.
He doesn't come to Kansas much. I'm trying to get him out more. I know it's not your fault. His wife has given me the evil eye. He just doesn't want to go.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes this is your second time in Kansas in like what?
Well, in
Well,
18 months?
Well, it's your third time
That's true.
because we did service.
Well, look, if I'm gonna cross the border, it's gonna be for beer.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, welcome to the. Would this be? Are we in Lenexa?
Yep.
Is this South Lenexa?
It's kind of mid
Is it?
Lenexa. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the boundaries with Lenexa.
Yeah.
So welcome to Mid Lenexa.
Midland next time. I'm in Midtown.
You're in Midtown.
That's probably the most urban Lenexa's been.
Yeah. Nick, where can they find us in the world?
You can find us, the Beers with Nigel podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps. If you got one of them Alexa devices, go ahead and say it. Alexa, play the Beers with Nigel podcast. You want to follow along? We're on Facebook, Twitter, the Instagrams, the Gram, right? That's what the kids say. We're on the Gram. Insta. See, I'm not a kid. Oof. I'm going to get it wrong every time.
The grams. Let's get on the grams. Pat, I'm sorry, buddy.
And this is that point where I hit the button and we're done.
I'm happy to learn that because I call it Instantgram.
Instantgram?
Is that like is that what you buy at Target? You buy your Instant Pot and your Instant Gram?
And then you get the Insta soup.
Hey, there you go. You need a French onion Insta beer.
Oof.
The French onion sour, you know what I'm saying?
There we go.
I bet somebody would drink it.
Look, if they make beers
Maybe
out
as
of
a
pickle
dare.
juice, you can make it out of French onion soup.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. I thought.
And I tell you what, I'll drink the French onion before I'll drink the pickle.
That's fair. That's fair.
You want to know why?
Why?
Pickles are from the devil.
I know. You don't like pickles. Pat, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah,
We
thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
This is Beers with Nigel. We'll see you whenever we're technically not seeing you.
We'll record again someday.
Will we someday? Just be on the lookout. Drive safely.
Good night.
You've been listening to Beers with Nigel, a show about beer and other stuff, hosted by Nigel Woodbury and that other guy, Nick Parker. Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, providing bumper-to-bumper graphic design, promo products, and print services. Find them at direoil.com. Beers with Nigel is a proud member of the Fredcast Network and is available on all of your favorite podcast flavors. Find Beers with Nigel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and ask Alexa to play the Beers with Nigel podcast.